Hey guys, so AEW All Out just wrapped up about maybe 30 minutes ago. It's about 12:15, so it was a long show. The official card started at 8, and then the kickoff show, the buy-in, they had 2 matches on before that, so it was almost 5 hours total. Longest AEW show on record, trying to challenge WWE for those marathon shows. And in my opinion, that hurt the overall event. Still, it was enjoyable wrestling, pay-per-view to watch. So let's break it down. On the buy-in, we had the first match, Joey Janela versus Sorrentico. Solid match up here. Nothing really spectacular about it. Joey Janela just won with an elbow drop. And yeah, that was the first match on the buy-in. After that, we had Private Party versus Dark Order. This is a really good match. I liked it a lot. Some good high spots, some fast-paced action between the two teams. In the end, that was Private Party who got the win, and that's the right call in my opinion. Dark Order, these are just like goons behind Brody Lee at this point, and Private Party, they have a legit shot at making a run for the tag team championships in the tag team division. So getting them the win here is no brainer. After that, we finally had the main card start, and it was a tooth and nail match. Big Swole versus Britt Baker. And this is a rivalry they've been building up for weeks and weeks. And then, so we finally got this match, and it was a tooth and nail match in the dentist office of all places. So it was an entertaining bout, a definitely unique way to open up the main show. In the end, that was Big Swole who got the win by making Britt Baker pass out when she put on like a gas mask on her face. A unique finish, and you know, it doesn't make Britt Baker look weak by any means, considering the gas made her pass out. It was a win for Big Swole, just a different way to start the pay-per-view off. After that, we had Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks, and this was back in Dowie's place for the pay-per-view. So we had a standing shooting star press to a drop kick combo by Jungle Boy, which is very nice, and then a Luchasaurus powerbomb Nick onto Matt. Then Matt Jackson had 3 consecutive Northern Light suplexes. They had a botched attempt at a suplex outside the ring, so to make up for that, Matt had another Northern Light superplex on the outside, and then Northern Light suplex Jungle Boy over the guardrail onto the concrete. After that, Nick Jackson powerbombed Jungle Boy onto the apron. Then Matt Jackson super kicked Marco Stunt, who was kind of getting involved there on behalf of the Jurassic Express. There's a Doomsday super kick device by the Young Bucks. And then Luchasaurus had a springboard crossbody into the crowd, which is very impressive when you consider how big Luchasaurus is. After that, Jungle Boy kept kicking out of everything. This was the Jungle Boy show at this point. They made him look like $1,000,000. Young Bucks were giving everything they could at him, but they could not keep Jungle Boy down and kept kicking out. So Jungle Boy, they're really building up his stock well, especially in this match. However, Young Bucks finally won with a BTE trigger. And yeah, so Young Bucks get the win over Jurassic Express. Solid matchup. Liked it a lot. These teams have really good chemistry together. The action was fast-paced, very fun. Both these teams are contenders for those AEW Tag Team Championships. And the way that the Tag Team Championship match played out later in the night, the fact that the Young Bucks won and moved up the ranks is very interesting here. After that, we had the Casino Battle Royale. Taz would come out on commentary for this one. So if you don't know the gist of the Casino Battle Royale, I think they did this at Double or Nothing last year. So wrestlers draw a certain card, and whatever suit is in that card, that's when you enter the match. So if say Aces was the first suit, Aces would enter whoever drew an Ace card entered the match. There was 21 guys, I think, in this match. Starts off, and then every 3 minutes the next suit comes out. So it starts off with Trent versus Christopher Daniels versus Jake Hager versus The Blade versus Ray Phoenix. After that, the next suit was Kazarian versus Will Hobbs versus Chucky T versus Santana versus Ortiz. After that, we had Billy Gunn came out as the Pentagon, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, and Darby Allin. And Darby actually came in with a skateboard and was using that as a weapon for a little bit. There was the Best Friends hug spot, and then Shawn Spears spoke on commentary a bit. And then after that, we had he was the next guy out for the final suit, Shawn Spears. Then we had Eddie Kingston, The Butcher, Sonny Kiss, and Lance Archer. And then the final guy who enters the match last is the Joker. They draw the Joker card, and that was Matt Sydal, formerly Evan Bourne. He is making his AEW debut here, and unfortunately for him, it went from a really cool moment to a moment that was being compared to Shockmaster, and for good reason. Scary spot here. So Matt Sydal makes his big AEW debut. He's getting ready to set up a shooting star press, I think, on Will Hobbs. So he's on the top rope. He jumps. His right foot slips. So his leg come out from under him. He's falling. Looks like he's about to land on the back of his neck. Thankfully for him, though, his right arm hits the turnbuckle on the way down. So it kind of like bounces out and just lands on his back. Scary looking spot there. Could have been a whole lot worse. But not the debut Matt Sydal had in mind for his AEW premiere. After that, you can hear fireworks going off in the background. Apparently there's a Labor Day celebration somewhere near the arena. Ricky Starks would get out a body bag from under the ring, and then Cage would dump a bunch of thumbtacks in it, toss Darby Allin into it, zip it up, and just powerbomb Allin in the body bag with thumbtacks out of the ring onto the stage, and the landing looked bad. Darby Allin hit the ramp that leads to the ring that's level, and it's a hard ramp. He hit that really bad looking. Plus there's thumbtacks in there. Could not have been a soft landing at all. I was legit thinking he might be seriously hurt. Not a good landing, very dangerous spot, but you know, that's part of Darby Allin's game. Yeah, so that was a really bad spot there. In the end, though, it was Lance Archer who won. It was him and Kingston in the final two. Kingston's on the top turnbuckle. You got Jake the Snake Roberts, who had, I mean, you didn't really see the snake, but he like kept showing Kingston the snake in the bag, and that was enough to allow Cage to choke slam, or excuse me, for Archer to choke slam Kingston off the turnbuckle to the floor below onto the Butcher and the Blade, who are out there trying to help Kingston. So Archer is your winner, and by virtue of winning this Casino Battle Royale, he gets a title shot against the AEW World Champion. After that, we had Sammy Guevara versus Matt Hardy in a Broken Rules match. This was basically just a last man standing match, and oh my god, if you thought the Matt Sydal botch was bad, this topped that in spades. Oh my gosh. So the rules here were it's basically falls count anywhere. If you can't get by the count of 10, you lose. And if Hardy loses the match, he's out of AEW for good. So it starts off, Hardy is in the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium, so it's right next to Daily's place. He's looking for Sammy. Sammy drives up in a golf cart, trying to run over Matt Hardy. He ends up crashing that golf cart into like this big pile of boxes. Matt Hardy would DDT Sammy onto a metal picnic table, and then there's a scissor lift and a merch table set up. And they also said there were masks on the table for guests of the show who did not have masks. They could get their masks at this table. So Matt Hardy throws Sammy Guevara onto the scissor lift. He brings it up. He's going to go for a side effect off the scissor lift onto the merch table below. Sammy counters that and spears Matt Hardy off the scissor lift, and they go crashing down through the tables, except I guess the spear went too far, so only like the back, half the back of Matt Hardy hit the table. The upper back and his head slammed to the concrete below, and it looked disgusting. It did not look good at all. And they actually had to like stop this match for a little bit, checked on Hardy. The ref, I think it was Audrey, I think she gave the green light for this match to continue. Bad call. Matt Hardy could not get on his feet, and eventually they legit stopped the match. And then so Sammy walks ahead. He goes, I guess, to the back. Then Matt Hardy's following up. They cut to Tony Schiavone, JR, and Excalibur, who are explaining, you know, like, I guess this match is stopped, and they should have stopped this match because Matt Hardy could not walk. It was a dangerous looking spot, very bad looking landing, but I guess they called an audible on the way to the back, because then Sammy comes out this door, he starts attacking Hardy, and they just go right to the finish. Like, it was very obvious they went right to the finish here, because they end up climbing the structure by the main entrance stage. Matt Hardy knocks Sammy Guevara off of it. Guevara falls through the stage, does not answer the count of 10. Matt Hardy is the winner. He gets to stay on the AEW, but oh my god, that spot where Guevara speared Matt Hardy off the scissor lift onto the concrete, Matt Hardy's head slammed to the concrete. He's obviously concussed, and lucky he's not hurt worse than he already is. I was reading online that he had to be taken to a hospital after that. AEW should have just called the match right there instead of like risking Matt Hardy's health, because he could not walk. It was a very scary moment for sure. And yeah, so don't know what they're going to do now. Matt Hardy's he's older, he's in the twilight years of his career. Sammy's young, so he did not seem to be affected by it, but Matt Hardy's head slammed that concrete so hard off that scissor lift, it was brutal to watch. After that, we had the AEW Women's Championship match. The AEW Women's Champ Shida was defending against the NWA Women's Champ Thunder Rosa, and this was an okay match. Started off with a stalemate sequence here. Rosa would stretch Shida around the ring post, and then Rosa would hit the pendulum swing to Shida and then knock her head into the turnbuckle out in that swing. Rosa would hit a Death Valley driver to Shida on the apron, and then Shida would hit a second rope springboard Meteora, and then she would hit a knee to the face for the win. It was kind of cool to see this champion versus champion match in AEW with the NWA Women's Champ taking on the AEW Women's Champion. You know, it's nice to see that partnership between NWA and AEW, I guess, really begin. Don't know if they're going to continue this going forward. Maybe have the AEW World Champ taking on the NWA World Champ. That remains to be seen. It was an okay match. Didn't really do any favors for the women's division, however. Aside from Big Swole and Britt Baker and then the Women's Championship, you don't have any other women involved aside from being valet such as Brandy for the Nightmare Collective. But yeah, other than that, or the Nightmare Family, but other than that, it was an okay match. Not the best we've seen from Cheetah or Thunder Rosa. And I would assume this is the end of that AEW NWA Women's Championship rivalry. I mean, I would hope they enter someone from the AEW roster into the women's title picture going forward. After that, we had an 8-man tag team match. It was the TNT champ Brody Lee and Colt Cabana, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson of the Dark Order taking on the Natural Nightmares, QT Marshall and Dustin Reynolds, along with Scorpio Sky and Matt Cardona. Kind of a random hodgepodge team here representing Cody, and it's just weird. This was probably the worst match on the card in my opinion. Not great. It was just weird how they had the Dark Order taking on like this random team, and Scorpio Sky deserves a lot better in my opinion. Having him relegated to this 8-man tag team match kind of randomly is just mind-boggling to me. So Cardona here actually got a lot of time to shine. He was getting the crap beat out of him for most of the match, it seemed. Dustin would get a hot tag. Scorpio Sky would hit a TKO, who then Cardona would hit a couple of radio silence attacks, aka Rough Riders. QT was spanned by Dark Order finishes in the match, but kicked out. And then later in the match, Dustin would pin Colt Cabana for the win after Cabana missed a moonsault, and basically he missed the moonsault. Dustin would hit him with the roll-up for the win there. And then Lee was mad at Cabana and after the match and basically like shoved him out of the way. And then after the match, it was announced that Dustin will face Brody Lee for the TNT Championship Wednesday on Dynamite, which I would have rather seen that on All Out instead of having the 8-man tag team match. Just not a really good match. Kind of just like, I don't know, it just seemed like filler. And AEW's been really good about not giving us filler, giving us story-driven matches. And I get how they try to tie in the story of Brody Lee attacking Cody, shattering the old TNT belt on his head, and then having it made personal with his family. But I know Cody and Cardano are friends, but come on. I mean, you could have done a lot better than this 8-man tag team match. Just not a good match in my opinion. Worst match on the card. After that, we had the AEW Tag Team Championship match, Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page versus FTR. I was pretty hyped for this match going in. FTR and Page and Omega, two of the best tag teams, four of the best wrestlers in the business today. So I was expecting a lot, and they gave us a lot, but they gave us way too much. This was the longest match on the card, and I was just kind of hoping it would end instead of just enjoying it for what it was because it went so long. So Hangman was sporting some New Year, which is pretty cool. And then Omega asked Page if his head was in the match, kind of playing off the tension they've been having the last couple months. And then Page costing the Young Bucks the win on Wednesday, which is kind of odd. So eventually Omega and Page get the upper hand. They give each other a high 10. Omega would hit a moonsault and then a senton to FTR. Harwood would powerbomb. Harwood had a powerbomb, and then Wheeler followed up with a German suplex. Nice little transition there to Omega. And then Page would hit an assisted German suplex. There's a powerbomb right knee combo to Wheeler by Page and Omega. And then there's a senton by Page to FTR from the top turnbuckle to the outside of the ring. Very cool spot by Adam Hangman Page. After that, Page hit a moonsault followed with slam to Wheeler, which is always impressive to see. I love that move. FTR would hit a spike power driver on Page after Omega accidentally hit him with the V trigger. And then they would pin Page. Page would kick out, so they would hit another spike power driver, and that would keep Page down for the count. So FTR are now your AEW World Tag Team Champions. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It looks like they could be building up to Young Bucks versus FTR for the AEW Tag Team titles eventually. However, because of what's happened, because Page and Omega were kind of showing like tension there, after the match, Omega had this table, looked like it was going to hit Page with it, had second thoughts. Page walked over to Omega and collapsed. Instead of helping him up, Omega just leaves him in the ring, storms out of the arena. Young Bucks are behind him, trying to like get him like, calm down, let's talk this out, blah blah blah. So Omega like gives him an ultimatum, it's like either Page or me. Omega drives off in his car, and the Young Bucks just left there. So it looks like the Elite could be fracturing here. So yeah, if they are fracturing, what's going to happen to the tag team title scene? Because the Young Bucks beat Jurassic Express early in the night. And obviously the dream match here is Young Bucks versus FTR for the tag team titles, but Omega and Page are having their issues. Page and the Bucks are having their issues. Now it looks like Omega and the Bucks are having their issues. Cody, part of the Elite, nowhere to be seen at this point, so what's happening with the Elite, no one knows. Makes for good must-see TV when there's more questions than answers. After that, we had the Mimosa Mayhem match, Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy, and there was this match where you had to win by either pinfall submission or throwing your opponent into a big tub full of mimosa. And yeah, it was a comedy match. What can I say? Crowd would sing Judas when Chris Jericho made his way to the ring, which is, you know, I'm glad that's back, because that's always a cool part of Chris Jericho's entrance. There's a bucket of bubbly at ringside next to each of the hot tub, pool, whatever's we want to call it, filled with mimosa. So when the match started, Jericho hit a code breaker right out of the gate to start the match. And then Jericho tried to catapult Cassidy into the mimosa tub, only Cassidy's leg got wet. Now it has to be the whole wrestler has to get into the tub of mimosa, not just a part of the body. The whole wrestler has to get in there. Cassidy would throw Jericho would throw a table at Cassidy and smacked him in the head with a tray that just exploded on impact. And then Cassidy would throw Jericho off the mimosa tub stage onto the floor below, and he would jump off the stage onto Chris Jericho. Jericho would powerbomb Cassidy through a table, and then he would hit Cassidy with a bat. But Cassidy super kicked him instead. Jericho had Cassidy in the Lion Tamer, but Cassidy escaped by throwing a glass full of mimosa into Jericho's eyes. Jericho countered a top rope dive by Cassidy into a code breaker, but again Cassidy kicked out. And then Cassidy would win with an orange punch to Jericho in the face off the turnbuckle into the tub of mimosa. Just a big splash of champagne and orange juice going everywhere, and that was it. So Orange Cassidy wins Jericho Cassidy 3 Mimosa Mayhem with a orange punch to the face of Jericho, who proceeds to fall into the tub of mimosa. It was like a comedy match, as I said. You got Cassidy, you got Jericho, who's the most versatile guy in all of wrestling right now. He can be funny, he can be heelish, and in this match, there's a little bit of both. Cassidy gets a nice rub from Jericho, so yeah, I think this rivalry is over. I hope it's over. You could not think of a more ridiculous way to end this rivalry. It's a nice little breather from the marathon match we had with FTR and Omega and Page, and it kind of set the stage for the main event, which was the AEW Championship, MJF challenging Jon Moxley. And the stipulation here was if Moxley used the paradigm shift, he would lose the match and MJF would win the title. So basically the paradigm shift is banned here. So MJF, he's healing the crowd up, and then Moxley comes in, and a fan actually like tried to hug him or punch him or something, and like looks like security grabbed him when Mox was making his entrance. So Mox tried to hit the paradigm shift early, but thought better of it, and then Mox would cross MJF on the guardrail. Wardlow would provide a distraction, and MJF gains the upper hand. He's working on the left arm of Moxley throughout the entire match. Then he hit this like Irish whip flipping move. So he Irish whipped Mox, and Mox would flip, and then he hit the turnbuckle. Really cool spot right there. MJF was later busted open big time, like blood just gushing down his face. The most blood I've seen in a wrestling match. No, not the most blood, but it's a good amount of blood. It's always good when there's color in a wrestling match if it adds to the story, and I thought this adds to the story for sure. So yeah, MJF gets busted open. Mox is the cradle driver, but MJF kicks out. Mox will then bite the forehead of MJF in the turnbuckle, and he like legit was biting it, because after he bites it, you see blood on Mox's lips, it's on his tongue. He was sinking his teeth into MJF's bloody forehead, and then MJF in retaliation would bite Mox's fingers. Mox would go for a paradigm shift, but MJ counters into an armbar, and he would hit a heat seeker, but Moxley would kick out. They would exchange punches and headbutts and slaps to the faces and forearm shots. MJF would hit a low blow when he distracted the ref. Moxley, and then follow that up with a crossroads, but Moxley would kick out. Then Wardlow tries to get involved. He distracts the referee, throws MJF the diamond ring, and MJF has a great visual here. He's looking for the ring, he finds it, he looks up, and then Moxley's looking right at him. And because Wardlow's distracting the referee, Moxley picks MJF up, hits him with the paradigm shift, pins him to win and retain the AEW Championship. And for good measure, he flips off Lance Archer before the show goes off the air, since Archer's the #1 contender by virtue of winning that Casino Battle Royale. So yeah, Moxley's still the AEW champion. Pretty good matchup here. I liked it. And it was a nice way to end the show, the marathon show that AEW had for us tonight. And overall, All Out, it was a good show, not great. Not terrible, but it was probably, in my opinion, the worst pay-per-view AEW has put out, and they're due. I mean, you can't keep throwing out banger after banger, so they were due for a bad show. And not that this was like horrible by any means. It was good. It was way too long. The tag team match for the tag team titles was way too long. If you're gonna watch any matches here, watch Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express. Watch the main event. And that was pretty much that was All Out in a bag. If I gave it a letter grade, maybe like a C, C+. Nothing like here really blew me away. The Matt Hardy injury was scary. The storyline with the Elite is really captivating. And being a Cincinnati guy, gotta root for my boy Jon Moxley. Hope he beats Lance Archer. Although I have a feeling Lance Archer's gonna beat him for the belt whenever they fight. And that's all I got. If you like this video, feel free to get a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Check out my website, cincyfanzone.blogspot.com. Give me a follow on Twitter, on Instagram. Links to both those are in the description below. Those handles are at Cincy Fan Zone. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.